Right, welcome everyone. Holding by Pirke Avos, Ethics for Our Fathers. As is known, we're in chapter 2, Mishna 16. This is part 8. Probably be a part 9, probably a part 10, as we go through this. So again, I want to welcome everyone. Holding by Pirke Avos, Ethics for Our Fathers, chapter 2, this is Mishna 16. It's going to be part 8. And again, the Mishnah says, in the name of Rabbi Yeshua, an evil eye, evil inclination, hatred of other people, remove a person from this world. So we've been speaking last number of weeks about the evil eye, i.e. ayin hara, that a person jealous of someone else and gets our file opened up. We spoke last week about the idea that why in general does someone feel jealous of someone else? What's the reason? What's the simple reason? Simple reason is they're not happy with what they have. Right? And as we mentioned, it's a lack of emunah. Right? Now, we spoke about the idea of lack of emunah, lack of faith and belief in God. It means, as we mentioned, person has doubts. Never good to be in doubt. We mentioned many times. But a person has doubts about the foundations of Torah, how God runs the world, because they'll say it's not fair. Right? Life isn't fair. Why, someone does this or someone does that. Why should they have more than me? Why should they be more successful than me? Why should they get more views? Put up a video, you got better quality, better information. Why should someone get more views? Person can say. So essentially, we have a lot to work on, because life, as we mentioned, life has nothing to do with whether it's fair or not. There's no such thing as getting unfairly punished. We don't understand, exactly how it works and what God is punishing us for. But, a simple thing would be for things that we've done wrong. I think that's pretty clear. No one is that perfect is going to say, I didn't do anything wrong. I don't deserve to be punished, even though the Gemara says, the person looked at his actions, they didn't find that they did anything wrong. Let's say. So what does the Gemara say? So you can say, well, what does that have to do with? It has to do with Bittul Torah. Bittul Torah means you're wasting time you could have learned. Now, let's say you didn't do that. Let's say it's not wasting time. Maybe that's not the case. So what does the Gemara say? The Gemara says if you looked and you didn't find anything wrong, which is kind of impossible today, but let's say, then you can say Jisurim Shalav, that a person's suffering because God loves them, wants to make them pure in the next world. So I don't think anyone's really holding there in this generation. I mean, very few people, if anybody. But it's lack of emunah. Now, what does a lack of faith and belief in God mean? Is it the same for every person? No, obviously not, because there are people on a greater level of emunah bitachon. So if they put their best foot forward, i.e. they do ishtadlus, then we would say that, for them, that's what they have to do. That's what they're obligated to do. For other people, if they're on a higher level, maybe less. They have to do less ishtadlus, right? Less putting their foot, their best foot forward, because they're on a much higher level. Now we see by last week's parsha that we just read, or parsha we just read today, Parsha's Vayeshev, right? What does it say at the end? The end of the parsha, it says that Yosef was in the dungeon, right? Was in jail, and the wine steward, and the baker, both have dreams. He interprets both dreams properly. And for the wine steward, right, what did he say? He's going to get his job back, right? In 3 days, he's going to get his job back. So he told him, when you get your job back, don't forget me, right? Don't forget me. I'm a Jew. I was sent here against my will. I didn't do anything wrong. right? All these different things. And he interpreted the dreams correctly. Obviously, the baker died. Wine steward, went back to his position, the Torah says. But what happened at the end? What does the Torah say? The Torah says that he didn't remember him, right? The wine steward did not remember him, and he forgot him. Commentaries ask, well, if he didn't remember him, he forgot him, right? That's pretty obvious. Yeah. In other words, basically, you're saying the exact same thing. So what does it mean? So the the Torah says he forgot him and he didn't remember, meaning why do you get punished there? Why do you get punished another 2 years for being in jail and being in this pit? Can't imagine 2,000 years ago is any probably much worse than it is today. But nonetheless, because Yosef was on a very high level, extremely high level of emunah bitachon, and because he was on such a high level, that looked like he's lacking bitachon. That looked like he's lacking proper faith and belief in God. If he's on that high level, for him, that's forbidden. He's not allowed to put his best foot forward here. Shouldn't have said anything. For anybody else, anybody else not at this level, which probably most people, anyone not at that level, that's punishment. That, so let's say better. Anyone not at that level, right, I said it backwards. Anyone not at that level, that's not considered that's not transgression. Totally not a transgression. Why? Because they're not on his level, right? So every person on their level. Not everyone's on their level, right? Some people have more emunah, some people have less emunah, right? Today, it's very hard in general, because we don't understand what's going on, right, in general. But again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not that, we're talking about a lack of emunah here, and the fact is the person be jealous of someone else. Why doesn't, the Mishna says later, Mihu Asher, I don't get there when I'm probably about 97. Mihu Asher, Sameach Pachelkoi. Someone who's truly happy, someone who's rich. What does it mean rich? Not money per se, but someone who's rich. What does he have? What does it say? It says he's happy what he has. Doesn't mean financially he's got all kinds of money in the bank. He's happy with what he has. Happy with his lot. The whole point over here of an ayin hara, of someone being jealous of someone else is that they're not happy what they have. Right? For sure they're not happy what they have. Because they're not happy what they have, they put this poison into someone else. Right? They put this poison into someone else because they're jealous. So that is a lack of emunah. That for sure is a lack of emunah. They are not happy with what they have. They'll say, I deserve this, I deserve that. Why should this person have? And again, that opens up the file here. The person says, not fair, this person can build, or this person has this, or this person has that. Right? So God's going to say, okay, this person feels bad. That other person made him feel bad. Let's see if it's true. I don't like to see anyone feel bad. Let's see if it's true. So then God opens his file, and he sees he didn't do anything wrong. Very good. The other person didn't do anything wrong. So it's your problem. 100%, it's your problem. Not a question of why someone did this or didn't do that or whatever. That's not the case. You have an issue. And you're looking at it the wrong way. But if that's not the case, which probably a lot of times is not the case, the other person doing something wrong. Right? The other person's doing something wrong because he's making the person feel bad. But the question is, why does the person feel bad? Seemingly, that's a lack of emunah. And the reason is because they're saying it's not fair. Right? I can't even tell you how many times I've heard people will say this person converted, had it much easier, whatever it was, much easier than I had it. Okay. They're given favoritism because of who knows what. Yeah. Why doesn't someone say, well, good for them? They're the ones, they made it to the finish line for whatever reason. Again, if it's on the up and up, I'm not saying where it's rigged, or there's favoritism for the wrong reason. I'm not saying that. But let's say, the other person did whatever they did. Yeah. They got in, maybe it took a shorter amount of time, whatever it is. The person says, by me, it's not fair. Totally not fair. I heard someone complain, they couldn't move, and how difficult it was to move, and the kids get up very early, and they learn, and they're this, and that, and they're doing, much more than most, most Jews, which may be true, doesn't really matter, right? Doesn't really matter. So they were venting. So it's not fair, can't move, job issue, whatever it is. I should be given a different path. Why should be given a different path? It's tragic. Person can't move. It's one of the hardest things to do to convert. Okay. Right? I definitely agree. But if a person can't do it, they can't do it. Right? So this person kept an attitude, and that's why I called my video that I did a number of years ago, do you think it was going to be this easy? Because I made this video after this person, copped an attitude. Right? And at the end, what did they say? Of course, this makes the most sense. I understand it's not a frustration. But look how many gays there are in Tel Aviv. Markesha. So what if Tel Aviv is the gay capital of the world? Or one of the gay capitals of the world? So what? So there are Jews doing terrible things in Tel Aviv. What does that have to do with the fact that you can't move to a community? I understand what they're saying. They're saying I'm more committed than these people. True. But they were born Jewish. You're right. Membership is privileges. Nah. Right? Membership is privileges. American Express. Okay. That means, right? What they do. But the fact of what they do, what does it affect you? Why in the world should it affect you? Should have no effect. The fact that you can't move, again, it's tragic. But you're going to tell me based on the rabbinical court should bend the rules? You have to move within walking distance. Now, how far walking distance? Good question. Yeah. Within reason. Probably within a couple of miles. Yeah, outside of that, it's going to be hard to get to synagogue. Yeah, but let's say. But a person can't do that. Nobody's fault. It's a reality. Some people can do it, some people can't. Okay. Yeah. So someone will ask, well, does that mean we're not meant to convert? Maybe. Maybe that's the case. Maybe you can't do it. Okay. Right, but this is a crucial thing. Someone's going to tell me, come on, it's never been written in the Torah, right? It's never been in the Talmud. Commentaries don't speak about it. Of course they don't speak about it. It's obvious. The Rambam says one of the 24 things stops the person from true repentance is what? Separating yourself from the community. You got to be part of the community. It's never written anywhere in the Torah. You're right. You're right. Well, that doesn't mean anything. So what? How are you going to be a Jew if you don't live amongst Jews? Property is expensive. Or closer you get to a synagogue, the prices go up. You're right. I didn't say it's easy. But that's what you got to do. If it can't be done, it can't be done. Now, is that held against somebody, in heaven? No. If a person can't do it, they can't do it. Yeah, if it's, why does it be so expensive? That's the way it is. Mitzvahs cost guilt. Mitzvahs cost money. What are you going to do? Passover comes. You have to eat matzah. Matzah expensive. Okay. Still have to eat matzah. You're not exempt from eating matzah on Passover. Kosher food's also more expensive. What are you going to do? So up until conversion, you don't have to keep kosher. Good. Up until the day you convert. Very good. But what's the point? It's expensive. Okay. You have kids, schooling them. It's expensive, right? Moving to a community is expensive, right? But these are things that have to be done. And if they're not done, I had somebody once say, come on, made it so hard, and it was so unfriendly and this and that, I'm going to have a reform or conservative conversion. Okay, that's their choice. Wasn't based on ideology. That's the person's choice. Wanted easier. Okay. Is it valid? It ain't valid. Like someone texted me earlier and told me they had a conservative conversion. So they said, I want to know how long this program is. I told them it's about a year and a half. Yeah, give or take. So they say, well, I had a conservative conversion. Can you shorten it? I'm like, no. Conservative conversion is not going to help you. It's the opposite. You have to relearn everything you already were taught. Right? Pretty much. I can't imagine they got very many things right. Maybe they got a few things right here and there. Maybe. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. They don't need the benefit of the doubt. Right? It's forbidden to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're evil. No matter what they know, what they don't know. They're still evil. The Chofetz Chaim says if someone's holding my Torah and mitzvahs, they make a mistake, right? Or it seemingly looks like they made a mistake, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt, even if it looks really bad. Secular Jew, do I have to give them the benefit of the doubt? Why? They have no believability. They have no believability whatsoever. I don't have to give them the benefit of the doubt. There's a mitzvah, somebody who's holding my Torah mitzvahs, there's a mitzvah to give the benefit of the doubt. Even when it really looks bad. Secular person, why is there a mitzvah? There's no mitzvah. They're not holding my Torah mitzvah. I don't have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Right? But it's got, person says, is that going to help me in this, with this conversion? I said, no. Some people think, I went through this conversion, it should help me. I could use it towards this. You're not going to be able to use it. There's so much information you're not going to get. Of course it's not going to help. But, got to be re-brainwashed, to have your brain re-squeegeed, right, in order to get the right information. But a person will say, but I work for this person, or work for that person, or, okay, so what? So what? Two wrongs don't necessarily make it right, even if it was wrong. But why are we so busy and we're so careful, to look at what everyone else has or what everyone else is doing? Why? What's the reason? What's the simple reason? I'm saying simple reason because you got nothing better to do. Right? That's not so nice to say. Right? But why would I say that? Because a person wants the easy way out. You're going to say, no, not true. I'm willing to stick it out, but it doesn't have to be that hard. So I can't answer that. If it's harder for one person and less hard for another person, what's the reason? Don't know. Everybody struggles through it. No one gets off scot-free. No free lunch over here. Person's going to go through the ringer. That is why it's supposed to be that way. Right? Someone says, where does the Torah life say that it's supposed to be easy? It doesn't. Very good point. It doesn't. We mentioned many times that you're here to toil. You're here to work. But again, we live in a relatively cream puff, generation. So again, sometimes easier, sometimes it's not. But, most people are not living on the streets and starving. Most people. Now, some people have it very hard. Okay. Not going to say that. Not going to say people don't have it hard. There are people who have it hard. Some people have it really hard. Okay. Yeah. But, and people are going to hammer me for this also. Right? They're going to say, I know people, below the poverty line starving. Okay. I didn't say they don't exist. Right? That wasn't my statement. Yeah, they exist. Okay. Is that the vast majority? Certainly not. Some people eat better, some people eat worse, doesn't matter. People want things to be easy. Nobody wants to work hard. Example I always give for a person playing Sudoku or a crossword puzzle. What happens when they get stuck? If someone's really up for the challenge, what do? They'll get something to eat, they'll think about it more, change this, change that, whatever. They're up for the challenge. What would a lot of people do? Look at the answer. They don't want to get stuck. They want, they want to go further. They want to finish this. They don't want to get stuck, but people don't want to work. There's a problem with the work ethic. People want, what do most people today want? I didn't take a survey, but I think it's true. Most people want to make a lot of money and don't work for it. They want to have it easy. There's a lot of people like that. Yeah, but it doesn't always work out that way. Probably most people never works out that way. So you're on a grind, right? A lot of people, I would say, I don't want to say a percentage, but there are a lot of people live day to day, paycheck to paycheck. There are people that are wealthy, extremely wealthy, very good. Yeah, but they're not the majority by any stretch. The vast majority struggle. That's the way it is. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes this is easy, sometimes that's easier. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's my mindset here. It's how I'm looking at things. And we look at things in a crooked way. Person goes to a store missing their favorite candy bar. What do you mean they don't have it? What do you mean they're out? They don't sell it. That's this generation. Yeah, people really starving? There are some. Good. Yeah, there are some. Not the majority. Not by any stretch. They're not living on the streets. Might not be living it up, per se. Maybe they'll go on vacation and do other things. Okay. But they're not starving. You don't have tens of thousands of people, malnutrition because they don't have money for food. Living in a very wealthy generation in that sense. Right? Again, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Right? But the vast majority is not an issue. Right? A person has to realize, and this has to be emphasized, right? This has to be emphasized. People have to understand that God's the one in charge. That's why it's a lack of emunah. That's exactly why it's a lack of emunah. Because they think I have this coming. This should happen. That should happen. Well, I'm not saying a person put themselves in a bad situation. That can also happen. But in general, it's worse if we do it to ourselves, fine. But we are not in control of anything. We mentioned many times, you walk out the door, you say, I'll be home later. Is that a guarantee? Well, walked out the door last night, came back. Why shouldn't that be a guarantee? But you don't know. You have no idea what's awaiting a person. Says King Solomon in Proverbs, right? Says King Solomon in Proverbs, you don't know what today is going to bring. You don't have any idea what tomorrow is going to bring, right? So if that is the case, right? If that is the case, then why are we so astonished? Why is that? Something happens, right? Something happens, the person will say, I wasn't expecting that. Or I wasn't expecting this. Or, whatever. I also have to take responsibility for what we do. People don't want to do that either. It's very easy. Blame this, blame that, blame the other thing. But when a person is looking at what someone else has, now it's common. It's very common. Kids see what their friends have. They say, why don't we have this? Why can't we do this? They feel like they're lacking. Now, rabbis once told me that they didn't have money, right? They still don't have money. But he said he wanted to make sure his kids didn't feel they were lacking. Now, that means, he borrowed money for certain things? I don't know. Maybe. But wanted to make sure that the kids felt like they weren't lacking anything. Not that you've changed their mindset. No, you don't really need it, this, that. I'm saying they got them what their other friends had. But they wanted to make sure, they understood that they weren't lacking. I remember, a friend of mine, one of their kids, when they were younger, they asked the parents to go, are we poor? They said, of course we're poor. And so is this other person. It's always someone else. I don't know if that's the answer either, but, at the same time, it's perspective. So here in Israel, everyone's in the same boat. Some more, some less, right? Some are doing, a little bit better than others. Okay. But everyone's in the same boat. No one's really, unless someone's like super rich or, they're working in high tech or whatever. But, in general, most people in the same boat, how they marry off their kids, big miracle. The Satmar Rav, blessed memory, said, The biggest miracle wasn't the Six-Day War. The biggest miracle is how Orthodox Jews, ultra-Orthodox Jews marry their kids here. It's true, because you make a lot less money. Marrying off is a whole different thing. Okay. Yeah. So even with that, but you live outside of Israel, it's a big difference. It's a big difference. To the ones that have and don't have. Huge difference. So the one, driving a beat up car or whatever, you see other people that, much more successful, whatever. They say, okay, you do what you can do, but I can't imagine it doesn't rub against people the wrong way. Or, bothers them. Now that bothers the other person has money. Right? That's not necessarily what bothers them. Maybe what bothers them is maybe how they flaunt it, right? Which again brings up an ayin hara. But they feel it. They definitely feel it. Can't do this, can't do that. Feel stifled. It's it's a hard thing. But again, the question really is, why is it that a person is looking at what other people have? Why is that? Because they go against the Mishna we mentioned before. They're not happy with what they have. It's kind of like the weather. When it's winter, it starts to get a little bit cold, or cold is, now, winter's here. Then after the first, snowstorm and there's fog and rain and whatever, okay, now they're waiting for it to be warm, right? Then finally it gets warm and then it gets very hot. They're waiting for it to cool down, right? They're never satisfied. Weather plays an important role. I mentioned this before, right? Plays an important role, and how we look at, our daily life, so to speak. But again, what does it matter what someone else has? It shouldn't matter what someone else has. Comes along Rabbeinu Yonah of Gerondi mentions over here exactly that an ayin hara, what causes an evil eye, is the fact that people are not happy what they have. They're not happy. They see their friend is wealthy. That makes them jealous. They go on vacation. They do other things. Yeah, it makes them jealous. They see, they see, a person's spouse, sees their kids, sees whatever it is, and they feel they're acting. And, they don't have the same thing. But, you got to remember one thing. You look at how, let's say a person, women do this a lot. They'll see how the friends dress, how their kids are dressed. They see because they send their kids to the bus, at the same time. So they see, so there's a facade. They'll see that the woman's all put together. Kids are, their house is always sparkling, sparkling clean. Regardless of whether they help or not help, doesn't really matter. Right? They see certain things and they're like, wow, they're so put together. They have this, they have that, whatever. But you got to remember one thing. Two things. One is you can't judge a book by its cover, right? You can't say, oh, this person, you don't know. I mean, that's really two things together or one thing together. And that is, you do not know what's going on behind closed doors. You have no idea. What it looks on the outside could be 100% a major facade. You don't know. They may be put together, every day, and everything's good, and kids are always, well dressed and whatever. But you don't know what's going on behind closed doors, right? We have no idea. But most people would say, so what? Even if I don't, this is what I see. But you got to remember, we're looking at an upside down world here. We don't, just because a person sees something a certain way does not mean that's the case. A person can see someone dressed the right way. White shirt, black pants, with or without, pinstripes, dark gray, with or without pinstripes, dark blue, with or without pinstripes, right? A lot of variety here. So they dress the dress, they walk the walk, they talk the talk, but deep in their heart, they're not doing anything. They're doing very little. They just happen to dress a certain way, right? They dress the right way. They talk the right way, but They're empty on the inside. Again, I'm not taking a survey. I'm not saying what the percentage is, but I'll say this. If you're not internalizing the message and you're not sticking it in your head every single day, right? Day in and day out, and the inclination gets you. We'll speak, plenty of class on the evil inclination. Yeah, but the evil inclination will get you. And the reason is very simple. Because we are today, if we don't review very basic ideas of what we're doing here, and we don't constantly review and constantly say, my Rebbe would say, constantly say God's the one in charge and he runs the world, right? On a daily basis. We don't constantly say that. What happens? Our resolve gets weaker. This happens, that happens, something else happens, right? And you're going to say, like, what's going on? Yeah, I get emails all the time. This happened, the other thing happened, this looks bad, doesn't end up so bad. We don't know how to view things. Things that look bad can turn out good. Story mentioned, person staying in a certain place, dog relieves himself on them, they have to change and pretty disgusting and all that. They come back and everyone else is dead because the whole place collapsed. The wall collapsed. Yeah. Where all the other people were, staying with a whole bunch of people, they all got crushed by the wall being collapsed. Now, is he looking at the dog as being evil and being cruel and whatever and thinking, oh, my lot in life, look what happened over here? Like, this is the worst of the worst? Yeah, it's a bad day. Looks like a bad day. No question. But the person comes back and says, wow, this dog just saved my life. You got to pick up the dog, give it a big hug, right? Right? He's going to give it a big hug. He said, meathead, or whatever you call the dog, whatever. Right? Say, he saved my life. Beautiful. He saved my life. Doesn't matter what the dog did. You think he cared? He's got to wash his clothes and whatever and how disgusting it was. I don't think he gives one rat's tail what happened. Doesn't matter. He had his life saved. This dog, this dog did what it did, saved his life. So now this person did it to the dog, right? So to speak. Right? But obviously, God sent the dog to do what he did to save the person's life. It's a question of how, we view it. Same thing where, if Noah Weinberg, blessed memory, is talking about, the head of Aish Torah, oh, blessed memory, and he's talking about God and belief in God and how God runs the world. This guy goes, you don't tell me about God. God and I are very tight. Right, God and I are very tight, and he says, okay, tell me your story. So he's saying he's riding on his motorbike, hits oil on the road, flies off a cliff. Says, God save me. There's a tree there. Motorbike got destroyed. Brushed himself off. He says, don't worry about it. Me and God are very tight, right? So Noah Weinberg asked him, the following question. It's a beautiful story. So I got one question. He goes, yeah, what's that? He said, well, who threw you off the cliff? Right? This is what happens. We can get saved. God can save us, or can choose to or not to, right? But essentially, we make the mess. And this is actually a huge novelty here. We make our own mess, right? Let's say we did something you shouldn't have done. Shouldn't have done. Now you go down a rabbit's hole. Now you're stuck, whatever. So a person could say, well, I did this, I did it. Let's say, again, for argument's sake, they did it to themselves. You can say the inclination convinced them, whatever. They did it to themselves, right? Which is much worse than someone doing it to you. You did it to yourself. You got no one to blame. Someone would say, if I got no one to blame, I need God to help me here. Very good. Why should God help me? You did it to yourself. God didn't stop you. Remember, the Gemara says, you want to go on the right path, God will help you. You want to go on the wrong path, God does not have to stop you. God doesn't have to stop you. Now, the fact you did it to yourself, God's going to say you went against, Kaufman's 614th commandment, don't be stupid, or 615th commandment, don't be a moron. You did something wrong. You did something stupid here. Okay. God didn't stop you. So now you took a loss. Now you're down a rabbit hole. Very good. Can you now pray and repent, and God should accept your repentance? No. Right? So not even necessarily repentance. You ask God, you pray to God to help you. Right? You made a mistake. Serious mistake. Very good. What now? If I was playing God, put on my funny George Burns glasses, my funny mustache, right? I would say, okay. If I was looking down, I said, wow, that looked really dumb, what you did. You took a big chance. Shouldn't have done that. Well, okay, true. Very true. So the person admits they did something they shouldn't have done. Okay. So now they come to you, or, you're playing God over here. They come to you and say, but I need help out of the mess. What would God say in such a case? Or what would you playing God say in such a case? You can say, I'll have mercy. You can say, I'll have mercy, I'll help you. Maybe. But what would someone else say? Someone else would say, guess what? I didn't tell you to do that. You made your own mistake. You made your own mistake. You lie in the bed, you sleep, right? You sleep, you're right. You lie in the bed, you made, whatever it is. You made the mistake. You made the mistake. What do you want from me? Right? If we were playing God, couldn't we say that? Easily. I should come help you. I should have infinite mercy. You went against 614th and 615th commandment. I didn't stop you. Okay. I should listen to your prayer for help when you went down that rabbit hole. Why? You say, but you have mercy. You have mercy. God doesn't have infinite mercy. He doesn't have infinite mercy. Now, you want to invoke that mercy that he should help you, you can. But the flip side is, why should God help you? You did something foolhardily. Foolish. God says, I have to pick up the pieces and help you. So, God has mercy. God for sure has mercy. Now, is that mercy going to overturn it? I don't know. Maybe it will. But you're allowed to pray for that. You're allowed to pray and say, I made a mistake. Shouldn't have made a mistake. Right? You're the only one out there that can help me. Right? I'm putting everything on you. And God can say, come on. You put it on me. I didn't tell you to do this. So I have to jump through hoops now to get you out of it. But he does. Many times he does. Now, person can say, well, I got, such a position, I had to clear bankruptcy, other things. Okay, right? It's happened. There's been a story recently, about that. And, whatever, person got stuck. They're expecting other things to happen. Things didn't happen. Whatever. Why didn't God help them? So I can't answer. They learned their lesson different ways. Maybe that's also part of it. Maybe God doesn't interfere. He said, okay, I want you to learn a lesson. I want you to learn a lesson. Because that lesson is going to come in handy later for whatever reason. Or right now, for whatever reason. But we don't know. We got to be practical also. But there are things that we can't know. Impossible to see based on whatever ramifications of a decision are made. Person makes a decision, right? Normally we would say, okay, you got to cover all your bases. Try and cover all your bases. Now, could there be something that comes out that's like, an exception that you don't expect? Yes. Is it probable? I can't answer, but there are times God wants you to lose. You can have all your bases covered. All your bases covered. But there was something that came out of nowhere. An onus, let's say, something against your will, or against normal things happening. It's out of your control. That's a better way of saying it. Totally out of your control. So if something happens out of your control, then there's something higher going on here. Meaning that it's something that God wants to happen or doesn't want to happen. Why? Again, I can't answer that. But in general, there are things that, He's going to say, okay, I'm not going to help you here. We're going to make your life more difficult. But he's the bottom line. So it's not a question of, oh, I'm looking at someone else and what they have and this and that. Why don't we say that God's in control? And if he wanted me to have it, I'll have it. If not, not. Like when I had all my money stolen, my Rebbe said, the Gemara in Brachos. Gemara in Brachos says, not everyone can inherit both worlds. Meaning, a person's not going to have wealth and be a big rabbinic scholar at the same time. Usually the two don't mix. Right? So I asked him, I said, oh, you're making fun of me? I said, you're trying to console me. Now, it's true. It's very rare to see someone that's got wealth and that they're a major rabbinic scholar. Very rare. Very, very rare. So I'm poor. The first year I was back, and I was like learning on fire. And I told him, listen, if I can't have the blessing, of money, so good, I want the blessing of Torah. I said, I'll take the blessing of Torah. You don't get both. Very rare if you get both. But if you do get both, you better know how to use it. So you can say, well, what happened to you was above nature. Yeah, totally above nature, totally unexpected. If I were taking the money, put into a business and the business sunk, my own fault. Right? Got bad advice, whatever. But even that, what did God want? Wanted you to lose. Why? Any number of reasons. I know someone had a Jew who had a non-kosher franchise, a certain chicken store, let's say. They're doing relatively well. Someone gave him advice. Buy another franchise. Open up another franchise. Yeah, what happened? So, again, they do the market research. They didn't do the market research, whatever it is. Right? Whatever it is. They got convinced to open up another store. Very good. What happened? The other store didn't do well. Wasn't doing well and took the first store down with them, and they left with nothing. They were left with nothing. So what happened over here? Got bad advice. Seemingly. Now, it could be. Maybe the numbers worked out. Okay. Maybe they didn't factor in certain things. I don't know. But in the bigger scheme of things, what happens? God flushed them. Totally flushed them. So the money that they had, invested in one store doing very well, then they invest in another store, the other store takes both down. So what do you see? Now, if you're not looking from a God perspective, well, what's the person going to say? And he's still mad. Person's still mad to this day, right? As far as I know. Got bad advice? Forget about no one was there to pick up the pieces, to help, whatever, it's another story. But let's say, person's still upset because they got bad advice. Bankrupted them. Can't we understand the person will be upset? Yes. Got bad advice? Yes. Now, they don't lose possessions. Still own a house. Still have cars. They okay. They have to start again. Right? They have to start again. Very good. What's going on in the bigger scheme of things? So you say, a Jew having a non-kosher establishment. Yeah, that's bad. Not allowed to do business with non-kosher food. Yeah. Right? I'm not even talking about mixture of milk and meat. It's another issue. But non-kosher food, can't do business with it. Okay. Now, is that the reason God took it down? Could be. Could be any number of reasons. But what happened over here? In the bigger scheme of things, God's I'm going to build them up. Build them up. Make them feel very confident. Very good about where business is going. And then I'm going to wipe them out. Then I'm going to come in and wipe them out. That's what happened. Now, if you don't believe in God, then you're going to say they got bad advice. Okay. But obviously we believe in God and God runs the world. So for whatever reason, God wanted this person to lose. But not just lose. See, things don't happen overnight. God's got a lot of patience also. God can say, okay, I'll let them taste success. I'll give them success. Doesn't mean it's necessarily all going to go smooth. It's going to happen overnight. No. God says I got patience. So I'll build them. I'll build them up. I'll build them up some more. I'll make them feel real confidence. And then what does God do? Cuts the feet right underneath them. Cuts the rug right underneath them. Or pulls the rug, let's say better. Pulls the rug right underneath them. Why? Because he wants to bring them down. But he's not going to bring them down at the beginning. Right? Because he wants them to go through a certain process and then get nailed overnight. Or seemingly overnight. We're not talking about Ponzi schemes, these other things. That also happens. Right? But here, a lot of times, you see it by professional athletes also. God builds someone up. They get caught, they're ready for big contracts. They get caught doing something. That's it. Just cut just pull the rug right underneath them. Yeah, some people more, some people less, whatever. But, there are people who worked so hard, right? Imagine. They work so hard. They get to a certain level. They're up for a big contract. They do something stupid. Or you have somebody that, let's say, there was somebody that was, I don't know, sports analysis on a certain show. Made pretty much a racist comment. Whatever, years ago, many, many years ago. Whole career down the toilet. Whole career destroyed. So imagine, person built up for so long. For so long, you think, I got a contract for the next 5 years, money's coming in, everything's good investment, blah, blah, blah. Made one wrong comment. One wrong comment. It wasn't even like, I don't know, people I guess would say it's a racist comment, but he didn't mean it as a racist comment. Totally didn't mean it, as that. But people took it as a racist comment. So the fact that they took it as a racist comment, finished. Got destroyed. That was it. Now he's older anyway, so how much longer he's going to do it, I don't know. But that's the thing. How this works. We don't see what's going on behind the scenes. We know what's expected over here. What do you think? Bird's doing a good job, this and that for so long. They're there for life, so they decide not to do it. Doesn't always work out that way. We have disagreements, different things. The person says something, rubs somebody the wrong way, and it just spirals. Also happens. Right? But again, we're not privy to what's going on behind the scenes. Not at all. We have no idea. I think God would open our eyes for a split second, see what's really going on in the world. Probably die of 10 heart attacks. Right? But again, it's all calculated. It's like the Matrix, everything calculated, ramifications, did this, you said that, whatever. Down the line, it's calculations. It's calculations. So Rabbeinu Yonah says that a person sees their friends that has more than them. Right? That has more than them. Maybe, I don't know, looks like they have a better family. They have more money. So they're jealous. So again, I would say that whatever's going on in someone else's life, in general, again, we are not seeing what's going on behind closed doors. What looks like the ideal life and everything else does not mean that at all. But we don't know. We see externals. And the externals tick us off. It just upsets us. Why should I have that, this and that? But again, why is a person looking outside of themselves? Why are they looking at what people have? So a person that has kids will say, the kids do it. You're not doing it. They're saying, why can't I have what they have? Why can't we do what they do? Yeah, but if a person didn't have kids saying that, they can still look at what someone else does and say, Wish we had that. Wish I could do that. But why are they looking at what someone else has? And what's simple reason? We're not, put on my psychoanalysis hat here, right? And take it with a grain of salt. But why is that? Because they feel a lack in themselves. They don't feel they're doing what they should be, or that the success that they should have. Right? A lot of people go through this. If a person, let's say, didn't have success at all, in what they were doing, and they struggle this and that, okay. Maybe in the wrong field, I don't know. But if someone tasted success, or even better, they're doing similar things than other people are doing, but they're not being as successful, then there's something wrong. If everyone's doing the same thing and they're, making money exponentially and you're not, there's something wrong. Either you're not doing the same thing, you're not following the same script, you're doing something wrong. But let's say not. Let's say you're doing the exact same thing. So then there's something else going on. That means God's not happy with what you're doing at some level, whatever it is. That's what it means. And that's not going to change until God changes his mind. And what's going to change his mind? Repentance. Repentance, self-sacrifice. But if somebody's looking at what someone else has, by definition, I would say they're not happy with what they have, what they themselves have. Because why are you looking at someone else? Doesn't matter what someone else has. God will deal with them however he deals with them. Right? So there are two things going on. One is you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You have no idea. And it really doesn't matter. That the first thing is that why we're looking at someone else. That's the first thing. Right? And it really goes in hand because if they're looking at someone else and what someone else is doing, at some level, they have to be not happy what they're doing or what they have. Or what's going on in their own situation. Right? And that's probably a lot of people. They feel they should have this, they should have that. People, whatever jobs they're working at, they should be paid more, they should be promoted, all kinds of things. And isn't it true? I've gotten this also many times. People say, I got someone who's making my life a misery. I can be more successful. I can be more successful. But they're giving me a hard time. Now, I can't physically threaten them. That'd be forbidden. Right? But even in that situation, okay, so you have to try and set the record straight. If they're trying to malign you, whatever. But at the same time, person got to realize, well, isn't God using that person to get to you? Person can be, up for promotion, whatever it may be. Significantly more money. Someone comes and sabotages it. Let's say, you didn't do it to yourself. Someone sabotaged it. I mean, you're going to get fired, but, right, that's going to be the case. You're not going to get this promotion. Now, how's the person look at it? You're going to say, this person cost me the job. Technically true. Right? Let's say that's true. From a Torah perspective, and that's what matters. This person has caused you not to be promoted, and God's using that person to get to you as a stick. And therefore, you're not going to get promoted because God doesn't want you to have a promotion. Why? Good question. Very, very good question. But again, I can't say what the answer is. What I can say is that that person is not going to succeed or go as high as they think because God does not want them to. Now, why not? Good question. Very, very good question. Right? Everyone in their own situation. You have, we can always play Monday morning quarterback and try and see, this happened, that happened, because we can try and guess. Might be right, might be wrong. Right? But who's in charge here? We know God's in charge. So therefore, if a person is jealous, says Rabbeinu Yonah, you're jealous of someone else. You're jealous, let's say, of their wealth. What does it do? Causes damage to them, because God's going to open your file, and causes damage to their friends. So he says like this, that's an interesting thing. He says, this is like experts of Teva, experts of nature. What's nature over here? That a person who desires all that the friend has, what does it do? Contaminates the person's thoughts. Causes them to think these things, and they burn inside themselves, and they get jealous with the evil eye. They get jealous. This is what happens. So a person who desires everything the friend has. So it's not just like, okay, you look the other way. It's burning inside you. You think you're better, you have more intelligence, other things going for you. Why in the world should that person have what you have? What does it do? It destroys the person's thoughts. Burns them up inside. So what does that do? It puts poison out there. Puts poison into the other person. Because the other person has no idea. They have no idea. It's a good thing. Unless it's body language, someone can read body language, but it's a good thing people don't know what our thoughts are. Because if people know what our thoughts were, we'd be in a lot more trouble, right? If they can read minds, we'd be in a lot more trouble, so to speak. But every psychologist will tell you that when you have it inside and you think about it more and more and more, it's worse. It's a lot worse. And the reason is because you're thinking all kinds of things here. Why does the person have it? They don't deserve it. Look what they did here. Look what they did there. Other things. Again, what's the bottom line? It's not fair. But it burns inside. That's what it does. Right? And nobody should have that kind of control on a person. No matter what they've done. I mean, obviously, if there's, abuse involved or whatever, okay. But, other things. But, to always think about it, and think about the hatred the person has for them, or who knows what. Again, in general, I'm not talking about horrific things that have been done to them. But the more the person focuses on the negative, they're negative people. They will stay negative people. Because nothing's ever good. Oh, this is bad, that's bad, and the other thing's bad. Right? Yeah, I know some people like that. Always complain. Not thankful for almost anything. I'm like, you have to worry where your next meal's coming from. Living very comfortable. You're not worried about that. Yeah, relatively healthy. You're rich, doesn't matter what your bank account says. But you're rich. Yeah, but I could have this, or I could have that, or I was at a wedding a few weeks ago. So a young guy, must have been in his 20s, probably in his 20s, maybe a little bit older. Maybe a little older. He's like in this type of walker where he's like being pushed or trying to push himself also. Like almost no usage of his legs, very little. Like I get, I see some of these things all the time. Just a reminder. So it's always a reminder. This person can't walk on their own. They cannot walk on their own. They need constant care to get anywhere. To get anywhere. You don't have that, you're whistling Dixie. Yeah. You have other ailments, whatever it is. Like, what in the world are you worried about? So I got financial problems. Okay, everybody does. Some more, some less. It's only money. Okay. But are there problems? Okay. Do you rather have health problems? I mean, pick your poison, what you want. See someone, every once in a while, blind, not so old, not so old, young adults, trying to maneuver themselves around. Or see people that are mentally challenged. So to me, I take it as a big reminder. Because you're going to say, oh, you got this on your head, that on your head, the other thing on your head. That can be worse. Right? All these talk pay with something. You never open your mouth to the Mr. S, the evil inclination, the angel of death, whatever you want to call him. It can always be worse. Oh, how much worse can it be? You want to be blind? You want to start getting dementia? When I started reading backgrounds, I was reading an article today that somebody whatever, had serious back problems. And, a certain amount of time, they just couldn't move. They were stuck in bed, right? They're in agony, right? So we don't think about that. Nobody thinks about that. Everyone thinks going to have, wake up one day, have back problems, have other problems. So, in this case, a person wants what their other friend has. But it's not just they want it. See, the Torah says in Book of Exodus, chapter 20, at the end of the Ten Commandments, the Torah says don't covet. Now, what does it mean not to covet? What if I convince someone to give me something? I'll pay for it, right? Maybe I haven't paid top dollar for it, let's say. But they don't want to sell, but you convince them to sell. A legal transaction. You're not holding them over a cliff. We're not talking about that, right? You bug them. Finally, say, okay, I'll sell it to you, and they sell it for a certain price. Again, it doesn't have to be exorbitant. Whatever it is, person pays for it. Torah prohibition of don't covet. Now that's a chiddush. That's a novelty here. Why? Because you tell me covet only means in my mind. You really desire something doesn't mean you buy it. You would say, if I bought it, I don't transgress the prohibition of coveting. No, that's the chiddush. That's a novelty here. Even if you pay it and it's legal and all that, you didn't, force them, right, illegally to do it. Very good. Even if you did, it's still a good sale. But, we've spoken about that. But the point is, you transgress the Torah prohibition of don't covet. What do you mean? I made a legal transaction. So what if I bother them to sell it? The point is, you wanted that more than anything else. So the fact you wanted it more than anything else, that's prohibition of don't covet. So what happens is, this burns inside of a person. You want this more than anything else, or you want their life, or who knows what. That's why people get caught up in sports entertainment. They're like, wow, look at these lives. People may think, oh, I don't really idolize their lives, what they do outside, whatever. But essentially, what's the person thinking about? Person fantasizes. They know they're not going to play ball like this. They know they're never going to be able to do like this and like that. Okay. Right? But why do we get caught up in all this stuff? Because fantasy. It's total fantasy. But these things that a person wants, even to them, they're like very real and somewhat tangible. What does it do? It burns inside of them. It burns inside of them that they want it. They want it like no tomorrow. That's what it is, right? In other words, they look at how another person lives. They look at what another person does, right? That, you see what they have and what they do. But again, if you say that a person's jealous of someone else, but they're burning up from within because they want it so bad, or they're burning up within what the person does or what the person says. So again, any psychologist will tell you it's not healthy. You got to get that anger out, yeah? According to Torah, you shouldn't have that anger. person's nasty to you, they'll get punished. God will take care of them. 100%. But at the end of the day, this is what I have coming to me. Obviously, God wants to use this person to get to you. Remember, Orthodox says in duties of the heart falling. He says that in the gate of taking self-accounting, in the last of the 30 ways to take a self-accounting, he says nobody can do good or bad to a person unless God wills it. So that means that it's you and God in the world. Pretty much everyone else in the world doesn't matter. So then the Chosel was asked, if that's true, it's you and God in the world, why do you need other people? Right? The Mishna in Sanhedrin says, for me, the world was created. For me, not for you. Everyone's their own individual world. Very good. But even if it's true, you still need other people around. It was mentioned in the gate of abstinence. Chosel Avos says, you can't live in your own mountain. Right? I mentioned that earlier. Can't separate yourself from the community. You got to live amongst people. Right? You got to be amongst other people. So when something happens, God's using that person to get to you. Very good. So this goes back to the same thing. Where's my emunah? Lacking in emunah. But as we said, having this burning desire inside against somebody is detrimental. Right? It causes added stress you don't need. Whatever the person said or did, okay. Even if it's wrong, God's using them to get to you. Doesn't mean they're not guilty. They may be very well guilty. 100% they may be guilty. Okay. But even if they're guilty, God's using them to get to you. Right? But again, what somebody has, it's burning inside a person. I should have that. I should be doing this. Right? And maybe God doesn't want you to at this point. Why? I can't answer. I had that question when I got involved in real estate and other things. I want to do what I wanted to do, but the answer was not your time for whatever reason. Oh, what God wants now. Okay. Well, that was a question. A person has talent, they can't use it, right? The Chosel Avos says, you try and make parnasa, try and make a living from things you're good at. Because if it's things you have to do anyway, you're not going to be happy doing it. Okay. But not everything you're good at necessarily makes money. Okay. So, it's a whole different, thing here. So my rationale was, well, if a person wasn't good at what they do, okay. He gave it a shot, it didn't work. Right? They move on to other things. That can be painful, but if you did what you tried to do, to the best of your ability, it didn't go. It's a sign it's not going to go. Okay. But a person had talent. If they had talent, they can't use that talent. So then the question is, why did God give it to you? That's a good question. But it could be, it shouldn't be used now. It should be used in this way. It could be used another way. Okay. There are a lot of other potential ways to use it, not the way you necessarily want to use it now. So that was kind of hard pill to swallow. Because people would say, okay, so you have this talent, so what? So use it this way, use it that way, do something else. But, you got to put food on the table. So you got to go out of your comfort zone. You got to do things you might not want to do. Okay. Not everything you do that you're good at makes money. Take anyone's writer, an actor. I'll make money from that unless you make it big. Right? Writers, depending what they do, depending what aspect, people get involved in marketing and, copywriting and other things, okay. But you always have to find clients. Right? You're always fishing for clients unless you get your foot in the door somewhere. You find a lot of clients at once, know a few people like that. Find a whole bunch of clients at once and doing very well. Okay. Other people are always fishing for clients. The question is which way to go. You go this way, go that way, go the other way. Not so easy. even if you're good at it, right? Not so easy, but anyway, that's that's not really the point, right? So if a person never had success, right, and now it gets taken away, so then you ask the question, why? Why can't you use that talent? And the simple answer, which again was a hard pill to swallow, but the simple answer was that okay, maybe you have to use the talent in a different way. Or maybe you can do this in a different way, not the same way you want to do it, but whatever. That's a hard pill to swallow. That was a hard pill to swallow. Essentially that was the answer. But see, then the question is, okay. So again, back to the original question, and that would be, so person had certain talent, why can't you use it? Why can't you use it the way that you want? That was the question. That was the question. And the answer is, or part of the answer is, maybe it's not your time, or use it in a different way. Right? Try and use it in a different way. So that is, it's kind of frustrating in that sense. Somebody asked, I want to deal with some questions here. Somebody asked that I mentioned last week that the only survivors, again, talking about the end of days, the only survivors will be the Orthodox and non-Jews that are going to keep the no-hide laws. If they don't keep the no-hide laws, idolatry, death penalty. So, right, there'll be a handful of non-Jews left, plus Orthodox Jews. Right? Now, that makes sense. Very good. Does this mean Dati and Haredi? Yeah, people that say more, or people that consider themselves Orthodox. Yeah, and you would not think Masorati. Masorati means traditional, but usually could be here. Masorati here in Israel means consider themselves like the conservative movement. I think Masorati in England is the same thing, right? They might call themselves traditional, but they're not Orthodox, right? So basically, if a person is holding by Torah and mitzvahs, right, whether they are non-Orthodox or ultra-Orthodox, they should survive. They should survive the end of days. Anyone who's not, i.e., if the Reformed, Conservative, Masorti, whatever you want to call them, right, most likely they won't survive. That is what I would say. Now somebody asks, I get this over here. Somebody asks, okay, what if you have in fact been coveted by another? Right? You're not able to get it back. You have to move on. I mean, let's say someone got something out of you. You didn't really want to sell it or give it to them, but you gave it to them. Right? Let's say, something like that. So if, we'll make it easy. If it's been something that was a legitimate sale, you can't get it back. That you'll never get back, right? It's a legitimate sale. So even if a person was taken advantage of, and in that case, someone coveted something you had, but you gave it to them with a full heart, then that's it, it's gone. So it's the same thing that someone held someone over a cliff and told them to sell, unless they're going to drop them over a cliff, and they sell it, it's a good sale. Doesn't matter what the person's intention is. Even if their intention is, I'll get the mafia behind me, I'll get someone behind me so I can get it back, doesn't matter. Like you're going to say, a person will say, I have no intention ever to sell, doesn't matter. You sold it. You go into court, person will say, did you sell it? They said, yeah, but in my mind, I never would have sold it. I was under duress. Very good. Did you sell it? A court is going to tell you, dismissed. You sold it. No matter if you're held over a cliff. You sold it. According to Jewish law, it's a good sale. Now, something like that, someone coveted, got something out of it. Did you ever get it back? How are you going to get it back? You gave it to them. Right? But, you gave it to them. Essentially, you gave it to them. Do you try and not get it back? There's no point. You gave it to them. Yeah. Well, somebody says, And I've seen this many times also. You know, parents, let's say, get divorced, and one parent poisons child against the other, and that child goes with the parent that poisoned the other parent. No matter what the other parent does, they're that relationship never the same. Probably will never be the same, right? Almost at any level. So you do what you can, right? 100%. You do what you can. But should a person give up? I don't necessarily think a person should give up. I wouldn't say to give up, but this is a hard situation. It happens many times when it comes to parents poisoning their kids against the other spouse. Right? Now there are times that kids can be taken away from that spouse illegally. Not saying legally. Illegally because the parent lied. Or let's say the parent has money. Let's say one parent has a lot of money. So they know you're not going to keep dragging them to court because you don't have money. Let's say. But they perpetuate lies. Not much you can do. Right? I mean, I'm not going to say the system is rigged per se. I mean, in some cases probably, but in general, someone's got power. They got money. They use that against the other spouse. They take their kids. That's horrific. It's tragic. Now, does that mean that other parent will never get the kid back? I don't know if never. But the fact they've been so poisoned is very hard. Very, very hard. I don't want to say expect nothing, whatever you get is a bonus, right? Because I hate that statement. If you still have a connection, still try and build that connection. Right? I wouldn't tell someone to give up per se. Even if it's been that way for a long time. If, I would say like this, and again, I've heard this many times as well. If the child decides they don't have anything to do with that parent. Not just, okay, speak to them every once in a while, once in a blue moon, this and that. No, I'm talking about even further. I'm talking about when they have no connection. Or they don't want to have any connection. Then the only thing you can do is really pray. There's not much you can do. You can try. You can try and open up communication. Doesn't always work, right? I know someone's situation there that, one of their kids just totally cut themselves off for, I wouldn't say legitimate reason. Not a legitimate reason, but he poisoned his kids against them. Right? So meaning that this parent has no connection to these grandkids. Now, these grandkids are older, right? So over the age of 18. Yeah, they don't have any connection with this, with the grandma or the grandfather, whatever. They don't have any connection. It's their choice. But they got poisoned. Okay. So what's that? So what is that parent supposed to do? The kid doesn't want to have anything to do with you. They won't answer your calls. Nothing. And they poison their kids against them. It's tragic. 100% it's tragic. Yeah, but what can they do? They can only hope and pray. I don't think they're going to pray, but they can only hope that maybe somewhere down the line, maybe they'll see that what they did isn't right. Maybe they'll see that. And if they don't, be kind of cruel here. If they don't, that's it. Nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. It's sad, but a lot of things in life are sad. So, should that person give up? Listen, they try and call them, no one answers. Yeah, try and contact them, no one answers. After a while, how much effort you want to put in? What are they showing? They're stonewalling, and they want to show they don't have any connection. They don't have any connection, right? So what happened in this case? right? In this case, there's no connection. There's just no connection. And the parent, grandmother just gave up. Over the years, they just gave up. Got slammed left and right. So they said, how much more should I take? Why should I take it? I don't have to take it. I don't have a connection. Okay, it's your loss. Now, isn't that tragic? It's tragic. If the reason is stupid, it's even more tragic. But it's tragic. Is there anything to do about it? You can't bring can't bring the cow to drink, the horse to drink. Right? You can't bring him to the trough. So what do? Nothing you can do. Right? There is no, there is no solution. There is no light at the end of the tunnel here. They can pray. Right? I don't think they're going to, but they can pray. Prayer's worth something. God can open up someone's heart. He can open up someone's heart. But if they don't want to, then they lost connection. It happens. Right? I hear cases both ways, where the parent has nothing to do with their kid, or the kid has nothing to do with the parent. It's tragic either way. Definitely tragic. I understand potentially how it can happen. Definitely can understand. I mean, that'd be a lot of water under the bridge, for that to happen. But it can happen both ways. In either way, it's tragic. So, you're trying to the best keep open. What do you call it? Keep open the communication. Sometimes it's just no point because it just doesn't go anywhere. So a person will just have to take their losses, lick their wounds, and you move on. Right? Maybe somewhere down the line, maybe there'll be a change of heart. Probably not. Well, let's say maybe there will be. Maybe there will be. I doubt it. Right? Right? In such a case, I probably doubt it. So, is it worthwhile if a person, continually think about it, be upset by it? I don't know. I think people got enough to worry about. It's sad. Maybe every once in a while, they'll tear up and it'll bother them, whatever. But okay, life moves on. Right? Well, life moves on. We're, certain things we think we're in control of. We live in a very fickle generation today. Kids can have all kinds of claims against parents. You didn't do this for me, did that for me, did the other thing. And the kid could say, why should I have that much to do with you? Look what you've done. Look what you've done. Could be true. Could be exaggerated, right? But, some people, again, we got to be careful what people feel. You can't say, well, I don't have a right to feel that. That's what they feel. Right? You might say they're totally wrong and this is what happened, and it doesn't matter. Right? But if they're not willing, to discuss it or go to someone to discuss it or whatever, it's not a whole lot a person can do. A lot of times also, just talking about kids, a lot of times also, kids always think they know better. Adults don't know anything. New generation, this, that. So they, sometimes you have to watch them make mistakes. It's not, depending on the severity of it, you can warn them this, that, but you watch them make mistakes, and sometimes nothing you can do. You have to watch them fail. You have to watch them, or say better, you have to watch them fall. That's painful. But how does the person realize when they make a mistake? When they fall. You have to be there to help them. Try and pick out the pieces, whatever, depending on the connection the person has. But sometimes, or a lot of times, they have to learn for themselves. And that's it's a painful thing as a parent to watch. If what the person does is self-destructive, then you have to intervene. Then the parent has to intervene. But it's, it's a hard thing to watch. 100% a hard thing to watch. But And there are a number of people in this situation, and there's just not much you can do. But people will say, "Why did it happen? Why should it happen?" I don't know. I don't have an answer. Right? I'm not claiming to have an answer. This is what God wants you to go through. But why in this way? How do I know why? For me, that's what the kid has to go through. That's what the soul has to go through. I don't know. It's also common sense, which people don't have today. Some people don't have. But what do you do? Someone's young, impressionable. Parents can lose kids because of the other parent, the other spouse. It can happen. Now again, in an ideal world, should that happen? No, shouldn't happen. There are people who get divorced, they have, joint custody, amicable, this, that, but a lot of times it's very messy. It's very, very messy. And, the only people that win out are the lawyers. But who suffers? The kids suffer. The parents also suffer, but who suffers more? The kids. Kids totally suffer. So some people will stay together just to make sure that doesn't happen. But, then they might tell their kids, "Wow, I was a martyr for staying in this marriage until a certain time, until you grow up and have a normal." Okay, that doesn't make the kid feel good. You made your decision. You made your decision. You got to live with the decision you made. I did it for you and this and that. All right, whatever. Don't make the kid feel good, right? But there are bad situations where a parent didn't want it, or one of the parents didn't want it, but they're stuck. They're stuck. There's nothing they can do. The system has failed them. There's nothing they can do. Or let's just say, in that case, there's nothing to do. They got messed up by the system. It happened. Why would God want it? He doesn't. Why does it happen? Some people, not to others, or whatever. I don't know. This is what God wants a person to go through. And we all have struggles. So people have that struggle. People have health issues. People have other family issues. Financial issues. Everything combined. Okay. But we all have doses of so many things that we go through that, it can unravel a person. It can unravel a person. We live in somewhat a very depressing world. There are people on the take and people doing things they shouldn't do. Especially people in position of power. They ruin people. They totally ruin people. Again, that's all God wants. But God can use them against other people for whatever reason. The other person has it coming. Why? But then there's no stronger bond between a child and a parent? Sure. There's no stronger bond. But where's the source of the most aggravation a person has in life? Usually from the kids. Right? It's like Rav Noach Weinberg said. Asked somebody, he said, "What's your greatest pleasure?" He said, "My kids." So then he asked them, what's the greatest source of aggravation in your life? Thought about it. He says, "My kids." He goes, "Okay, let's go back to the first question. What's the, what do you get the most pleasure from?" He said, "My kids." He goes, "How many kids do you have?" He goes, "One." He goes, "What's the matter? Too much pleasure?" Kids are hard. Each generation, every generation has, their evil inclination, whatever it is. Kids are what they are today. It's hard to bring up kids today. Even the most religious in the neighborhood is hard. Right? It's, a lot of different reasons. A lot of different evil inclinations today. But especially where parents have issues and the kids suffer. But a parent can be very bitter. Very, very bitter, take it out on the kids. They don't care what the repercussions are. There's a story. I mentioned this before. There's a story of somebody, whatever, got divorced and was very bitter. So he made a declaration that he said he had a daughter marriageable age. And he said, "I consecrated her to a certain person in front of witnesses." Now, what does that mean? So he has the right to do it, even if she's older. But what does that mean? That means she can never marry anybody. Why? Because he told two witnesses. Now, we don't think he's bluffing there. He told two witnesses. You don't know who the witnesses are. So who can she marry? She's stuck. This is a horrific thing to do to a child. The child can never marry. Right? So this girl, this woman, came to her Rebbe, told the story. He said, so he told me, he said, the only thing I can do in such a situation, he says, I cried. That's all I could do. I said, why don't you take this guy and beat him to an inch of his life? So she can't do that because maybe he's going to say who, two witnesses, he's probably lying under duress. Can't do that. So this guy, I didn't hear anything change from the story, over the years, but this person who did it ruined his daughter's life. His daughter, if nothing changes, or if he dies, even worse, if he dies, she's stuck forever. She is stuck forever. She'll never be able to marry. Because you have no idea, nobody has any idea, right, who the witnesses are and who the person is supposed to be consecrated to. There's nothing to do. Person abused the system, yeah. He ruined his daughter's life. There's no halakhic way out of it. So she'll be destined never to be married because her father was a schnook. Because his father despised his mother and that's what happened. Or whatever. Got upset, that's what he did. That's horrific. Can't change the system and just say, well, it doesn't really matter what he said. But no, it does. Has halakhic ramifications. Brother, gotta be careful what they say. But he did despite her. Totally did despite her. Right? So this person is totally stuck. Yeah, this person will never marry. Wouldn't we say, this father should just be beaten to oblivion for doing that to his child? That's spite. Worse than spite. Yeah. Child didn't do anything wrong. I mean, what the child might have done when they were younger, that doesn't matter. They literally ruined their life. It's choice. Made a bad choice. Really bad choice. That's how far anger goes. That's how far spite goes. Doesn't matter, what his ex-wife did or this or that. They want to argue, they want to fight, they want to this. Whatever it is, their problem. Let the kids live somewhat a normal life. However you work it out. The kids always suffer. That's true. But to do something like that, to say, okay, that's extreme. Okay. I know of worse cases where there's abuse going on and they can't do anything about it. Other spouse can't do anything about it. That's horrific. They tell me, the secular courts, the whole thing is broken. Okay, but again, it's a whole nother issue. It's a whole nother issue. So he asked me the $1 million question, and that is, so why does this happen? I don't have an answer. This is what the person has to go through. That's what that soul has to go through. Why? Because they do. That's what God wants from them. I can't answer why. But that's why. That's all right. That's what God wants. That's the harsh reality. You say they didn't do anything to deserve it. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors in God's eyes. We don't see how he runs it. You can say, measure for measure. Everything's measure for measure. How could a young child go through this? I can't answer. It's not punishment for the child. If it's a child under the age of bar mitzvah, under the age of 12 or 13, it's not punishment because they're not liable. Even up to the age of 20, they're not liable. So what's going on? It has to be something with their soul. Doesn't make sense otherwise. Why their soul has to go through it? Good question. Excellent question. But it's obvious there's someone had to go through it. It's painful to see. It's painful to be part of it. Right? What parent does not want to have a connection with their grandkids? Number of parents don't have grandkids. Okay. But what parent would, wouldn't want to have a connection with their grandkids? Imagine the pain. Forget their kids. Like the grandkids can never do anything wrong. The kids are, it's a different issue. Imagine that's not their only grandkids. Right? They have other grandkids, very good. Still, you're missing out on that relationship. Or they're missing out on that relationship. Right? The grandkids are missing out. Okay. What do? They've been poisoned and made a wrong choice. Made a seriously wrong choice. Right? Because their child poisoned their kids against it. Not with a legitimate excuse. Let's say. To say they're older, they make their own choice. Okay. But you don't think, they know that the parent hates their mother or whatever the mother did. So they don't want to buck the parent. Makes sense. But if they're old enough to make their own choice, they're old enough to make their own choice. So if they make the choice never to have anything to do with that person, it's tragic. Everybody loses. Now, they may think they're all losing. Okay. But there's an inherent bond between grandparents and grandchildren. The old saying is, if we knew how great grandkids are, we'd have them first. Yeah, but, people say, don't you know anything about biology? Doesn't work out that way. True. You get all the benefits, no responsibility. Right? It's true. If you have to get involved, you get involved. But, kids are in charge. You're not running their lives. They make their own decisions. But they make painful decisions. True. Very, very true. So, not much a person can do unless you're thrown in a certain position. It's like many people told me, I started marrying off some of my kids, told me many years ago, two things you have to know. One is you have to know how to keep your mouth shut. You always have to have an open pocket, right? So I said, I got two strikes against me. Nothing in my pocket and a big mouth. Yeah, but, although my son was, my daughter walks down the aisle and circles you, she's all yours. Said, she's all yours. I said, you got any problems? I'm not here to get involved. If I have to, I will, but, in general, not the case. But you don't want to get involved if you don't have to. Right? If you have to, you have no choice. Okay. But sometimes you have to watch certain things. It's painful. It can be painful. You try and educate to the best of your ability. The scary part is if you get to the right thing, you get a lot of merit, you get a lot of credit. If they do the wrong thing, you get all the blame. According to heaven, that's the way it works. You're going to say, but everyone has free choice. You're right. Everyone's got free choice. But you should have educated them in the right way. And even if you did, even if you gave them the best education, and they decide to go off later or whatever happens, you bear some of the responsibility. Right? You bear some of the responsibility. You're going to say a person got poisoned, something happened, this, that. Okay. You're going to say it's an onus, out of your control. Where does the majority of education go for a kid? From the parents. They go to school, certainly in the Orthodox community, long hours. Certainly for boys, long hours. Because I send my kids to school, very good. Right? So all the responsibilities on the school to educate them. Right? Not true. Where do they get most of their education? In the house. That's where they get it. So the parents have to be more than role models. That's who the kids should look up to the most, more than anything else. Even if they have a charismatic rabbi or rebbitzin in their lives, blah blah blah, very good. But where should it all come from? The parents. Kids see through the parents straight away. See the good, see the bad. Right? We're always on trial. But at the end of the day, we have to take full responsibility. Bad influence on a kid. Not your fault. Totally not your fault. But there's responsibility. There is responsibility there. Now, can't control everything. That's true. But you got to be aware of who your kid's friends with, who they hang out with. All you need, God forbid, is one bad influence. One bad influence undoes everything you do. Can't undo all the good. Right? So you got to be on top of that. But again, the worst thing in the world is the street. That's the worst thing. That's why we're going to be more insular as much as possible. Because of the power of the street. Power what other people do. It's a hard thing. Right? But, at the end of the day, who gets the brunt of everything? The parents. The parents get the brunt of everything. For better or for worse. We train them in the right way, they go in the right direction. We get all the merit for that. They go off to other things, we're held responsible. Even if again, after a certain age, you're going to say they have free will, very good. Parents' job of educating them does not stop after bar mitzvah. Does not stop either way after they're married. You have to navigate that. 100%, not so simple, but educating a kid does not stop. Never stops. But you have to have boundaries. For sure, you have to have boundaries. You have to know how to deal with them. How to speak to them. They're on their own. Very good. Now, let's say they make their own bad decisions. The problem is making their own bad decisions is still a reflection on the parent. It's a reflection on the parent. No parent wants to hear that, but it's true. Because that's where the majority of their, what they're getting comes from them. Doesn't matter what goes on at school and how much they learn, and that's great. But the majority education a child gets is when they're in school. Is at home. It's at home. So the people, kids see the good, bad, and the ugly. Parents' first scapegoat for sure. Today's a lot worse. You should have given me this. You should have given me that. I felt left out. I felt it. Parents are under a lot of pressure. You need 2 paychecks. They don't go so far. Other things, right? Other stress. Not so easy. Person has a larger family. Yeah. A lot of things. There are a lot of things. But the majority of education comes from the parents. Rabbi would say this, he says it a lot. Kids sends their kids to school, right? Parents sends their kids to school. They're there long hours. You got to be on top of every aspect. How they're learning. The friends are. And again, all you need is one kid. That's it. All you need is one kid to take them off. You got to pray for our kids every day. Every single day, they should stay in the straight and narrow path. And not so easy today. Just a lot of things on the street that pull us. But if their education's been strong when they're younger, then it should be all right. But there is a phenomenon. There is a phenomenon. You get parents that get burnt out in their 50s or earlier. There are people that have left the fold after being, religious for years. If they were born religious, whatever, get burnt out. Just don't want to do it anymore. It's not about ideology. Not about ideology. There are cases like that. But a parent that does that, let's say, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It doesn't happen overnight. It happened over the years. Little by little by little. Then finally I decided I can't do it anymore. Can't take it anymore. I want to be free, so to speak. So there could be any number of reasons for that. I'll tell you what I think the main reason is. It's because they never got, either never got enjoyment of learning or only going through the motions, and we're doing things by rote. And when you do things by rote, you're not living it for the right reason. You're not living inspired, then that can happen. That definitely can happen. It's a relatively new phenomenon. But there, yeah. It's not like I would say there are isolated incidents. I'm saying it's like, so rampant, but it happens. A person religious for so many years, or born religious, whatever the case is, I get burnt out. I didn't just, a person, has a spouse and has kids, I just walk away from religion. So we're gonna, heard stories. Can spouse stay married to the other spouse if they're not religious? How do the kids react? Has a reaction on has an effect on the kids. It happens, right? Definitely not gonna say it happens. I know of a story where, might be a little bit extreme. I heard a story, someone involved in outreach, a guy married, whatever, became a woman. Became a woman. And the funny part is, then became religious again. They became a woman. Can't make this stuff up. Fact is always greater than fiction. How the kids react to that. How the spouse react to that. Right? Or let's say, I don't know, you have a spouse that either doesn't want to become religious, doesn't want to stay religious, or maybe change gender, or let's say someone becomes gay. Can happen. Or a woman becomes a lesbian. I don't know. Whatever. Keep this clean. This also happens. Again, I wouldn't say it's like, it's like 1 out of every 5. It's not even close. But it can happen. It's not, like there's something going on. We're living in a messed up society. That's one of them. But again, if a person's not living inspired, the evil inclination goes crazy. The evil inclination will destroy a person. It's not like this thing happens overnight. Someone just gets this whim and says, okay, I'm going to change sex. I'm going to do this or do that. Right? It's been going on for a long time. And now the person says, okay, I've had enough. I know a story. Someone married, couple kids. Whatever, a person's young in their 20s, I think. And they just left the fold. Totally left the fold. They don't want to be religious anymore. But again, that doesn't happen overnight. Something must have been gnawing at this person for a long time. Fine, just said I can't do it anymore. So you have that phenomenon. Anyway, then, the other spouse is like, what do you mean? Yeah, so it's going to be very hard to stay married to such a person. No question. Not to mention, the influence it's going to have on the kids. Because now, even if they get divorced, and that spouse isn't religious, how do they go to them? How do they go, can't go there for Shabbos and keep Shabbos, let's say. Or festival or whatever. I mean, it's tragic. Very, very tragic. So there are a lot of things that can happen that you'll say shouldn't happen, right? We're not living, I wouldn't say we're living in a normal generation here. But, the power of the outside world is very, very strong. Very, very strong. So, staying on the straight and narrow path, I always say, if someone is religious and stays religious, that's a big miracle. There's a lot of things taking a person away. That's the power of the street. But what's the answer? What's the simple answer? What's the antidote? Torah. That's the antidote. The evil inclination is very strong. You need God to help you overcome it. Very good. But if you're not steeped in Torah, if you don't continually stay steeped in Torah all the time, I'm not going to say it's a matter of time before you go off. I'm not going to say that. Right? The person's going to say, I need downtime, I need to relax, this, that. Okay. Right? In a kosher way. Very good. But if you're not attached to Torah 100%, as we say every day, you do as Hashem b'simcha, you got to serve God with great joy, you may fall off the face of the map at some point. You get burnt out. You will, just not feel like doing it. You're doing it by rote. You got to love what you do. Be proud of what you do. That's what Rebbe was speaking about by Hanukkah. It says the Gemara says, if you ragul b'ner by ner Hanukkah, like you constantly do the mitzvah of Hanukkah, or a comment to the mitzvah of Hanukkah, you'll merit, sons that are Talmidei Chacham, that are rabbinic scholars. A little bit cryptic here. The Gemara, what's going on? So he says, what's one of the reasons? A lot of people, especially in Israel, right outside. He says, because you got to show you're not embarrassed by doing Torah, by keeping Torah mitzvah. Doesn't matter what people say. Doesn't matter. They make fun of you. They say it's old-fashioned. They say who knows what. He says the fact you're keeping Torah mitzvahs and you're doing it constantly, right? And you don't care what people say. That's what it means. You got to be proud of what you do. Can't be like by Moses Mendelssohn will say, be a Jew in your heart. Do whatever you want in your house. Be like everybody else. That's the recipe for disaster. Right? So Rebbe would say, you got to show the external. You got to show that you love what you do. And you got to do it with all your heart, all your heart. You got to give everything you got. Then you merit, children that are rabbinic scholars. You have to show, it doesn't matter what other people say. Doesn't matter what's out there. You got to show I'm out there. Right? I'm out there. I'm going to dress the way I dress because that's what God wants. Now people will say it, and people will see it. And if they don't like it, my Rebbe would say, you got to go eat kugel. So say, go eat kugel. So what? So what? You don't like the way I look. Too bad. That's what the Torah demands. You got to be strong. Right? You got to not care what people think. You got to not care what's going on outside, what the outer environment says. It's irrelevant. You got to keep it because God says to keep it. Right? Three people come, and what's his name? Three people came to Abraham, gave him advice about bris milah, right? And one of them said, you shouldn't do it. Danger to life. Right? Eshko Mamre, right? I forgot. Eshko Mamre. They tell him, one person tells him, don't do it. Second person tells him, if you're going to do it not in public. right? You don't want to give people the wrong impression. Third person told him, no, you got to be proud of what you do. You should do it in public, publicize it. So my Rebbe says that's like describing three different types of people. First person says, don't do it, you know he hates Torah. You know he hates Torah and mitzvahs. Second person says, do it, but don't do it in front of everybody. What is he showing? Making compromises, right? In other words, like Moses Mendelssohn, you want to do it? Fine. Yeah, don't do it in public. Don't show the public, do it by yourself. Keep it to yourself. You don't want people to hate you, whatever. And the third way is the way we should be. We don't give a rat's tail what anyone says. You do it in public, you personify it. You do it in a way everyone's going to see. You're not embarrassed about what the Torah said. You're not embarrassed the way a person dresses. You're doing it for the sake of God. Right? Just like you said, you want to marry rabbinic scholars as kids, you do it the way it's supposed to be done. You don't worry what people are going to say. Oh, do it in your house. Don't do it outside. Don't show yourself outside. No, we're going to show ourselves outside, and we're going to be proud of what we do. We're going to be proud of who we are. We're not going to give in a compromise. When you give in a compromise, we know what happens. We're going to be like Abraham. Yeah. Did it in front of everybody. 100 years old. He showed there's one God. Right? Show that he's the one in charge. The fact that he's in charge, you don't compromise. Right? Absolutely don't compromise. Yeah. Any other questions? Somebody says that I really see wisdom of Jew living in a community. Yeah, makes sense, because if you're gonna have so much contact with non-Jews, you're in trouble. Right? You're gonna be in trouble, no question. So a person wants to compromise, yeah, we know what happens. We absolutely know what happens when a person compromises. It doesn't work. Again, if I'd be convinced that it would work, you can do what you want and this and that, person can show me it can work, generations pass it down, we'll have a discussion. Short discussion. It's not about compromise. But it's about doing what's right, but loving what you do. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you get caught up in the day, sometimes you're just tired, sometimes you don't feel like doing this, whatever, but the more Torah you learn. I'm not even talking about the fear of punishment, not even talking about that. The point is, you love what you do, you show. And you live it every day. Sometimes easier, sometimes not, but no other greater way to live. We got to show the world. Not care what other people think. And that's what we get caught up on. What are they going to think about this? What are they going to think about that? Who cares what they think? Doesn't matter what they think. I wouldn't be half the person I am if I did care. That's not about being conceited or anything else. Because when someone has a 25 IQ, I care less what they say. You want to prove it to me through Torah, through sources, through other things? Good. We'll have a discussion. Or someone who deserves to be in an insane asylum, tied up in a straitjacket. I can really take what they say seriously. Right? We get caught up in it. Oh, it's a parent, it's a sibling, it's this and that. Okay. Parent, you got to show some level of respect. If they're evil, you got to show some level of respect. Sibling, you don't want to be disrespectful per se, but what's the matter what they say? It's against the rules. Yeah, it's against the rules. Right? That's it. You want to agree to disagree? Good, don't bring it up. But you're going to bring it up, I have an answer. I have a number of answers. You want to listen? No. I just want to make fun of it. Okay. Of course, the hair I don't have my head grow. Like, come on. I got better things to do with my time. But someone who's going to do that, and they have a 25 IQ, I'm not worried about it. You gotta be respectful, but not worrying about it. And sometimes it's painful what people say. Sometimes it is, but someone had 25 IQ and they slobbered over me and they did other things. I'm not gonna worry about it. They're 25 IQ. It's annoying. Definitely annoying. But I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna take it to heart. Just the opposite. I use it for my class. It's good therapy. It shouldn't affect the person. But we are affected by our environment. We're affected by what people say. Really, what people say doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like someone told me, I got stuck in the bathroom, so I told them tongue in cheek. I was just telling them the story. I told someone the story. I said, I couldn't even pray. Because you can't pray in the bathroom. They're like, oh, is that one of the rules? I said, yeah, that's one of the rules. End of story. That's it. Person want to make fun. Oh, is that one of the rules? Yeah. Can't pray in the bathroom. Can't think Torah in the bathroom. I can sit there and get baited. I got baited for it. Person's an idiot. Anything about Torah and mitzvahs, I answered them. Yeah, it's against the rules. That's it. Because are they trying to get under your skin? Are they trying? Yeah, they're making fun. Good. Am I gonna get baited by it? No. Maybe I told you years ago I would have answered this, I would have answered that. I don't even bother. Waste of time. Waste of time. So this person, he's got 25 IQ when it comes to Torah. Just laugh. Oh, that's one of the rules. Yeah, it's one of the rules. Worry about it? Ain't worried about it. Yeah, any other questions? It's painful though, right? Sometimes it can be painful what people say. Okay. But, more important things to worry about. Even if it's family. Right? It doesn't matter. Yeah, can't get caught up in that. Yeah, any other questions? All right, I'm gonna stop here. I do this every Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Q&As, ethics of our fathers, Book of Leviticus. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHIMCOFFMAN@gmail.com, whichever good. Beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day.